let's play some audio for you, John. We had I've teased this a few times. A national NFL person who I think does a great job just moved over to ESPN. Saying something we don't hear national people say that often about Hurts, and we don't hear it enough in our city. It's something, John, you say. It's something I've said a lot, but we know the person who's normally in this chair hosting the show would never say it, doesn't believe it. A lot of people don't. Kevin Clark, so formerly of The Ringer, has covered the NFL for a really long time at ESPN now. I think he does a phenomenal job covering the NFL. Kevin Clark, this is interesting. This is from a couple days ago on Jalen Hurts, making an impassioned case for why Hurts doesn't get the credit that he deserves. Here's Kevin Clark.
The offensive line last year was not as good as it was 2 years ago. And Saquon Barkley was getting hit behind the line of scrimmage more than he ever has in Philadelphia. That's part of the story here. But with Jalen Hurts, the narrative that he was a passenger for his entire Eagles career drives me nuts. It diminishes the fact that he is one of the best downfield passers in football during his entire tenure there. Okay? It diminishes the fact that he has a ring and had one of the best Super Bowl performances in the history of that game, okay? The idea that Super Bowl rings and arguments seems to apply to everybody but Jalen Hurts. The Twitter trolls, okay, seem to see the ring as an inconvenience rather than an argument settler, okay? And we're still doing this years into his tenure. He should be the franchise quarterback. He should be treated as such. Every other quarterback on the level with Jalen Hurts, it's Josh Allen has to do this. He has to put a team on his back. Mahomes has to put the team on his back. Joe Burrow has a team on his back. And with Jalen Hurts, the argument is, oh, well, no, everything else has to go perfect for him. He has to have the receiver. He has to have the running back. He has to have the offensive line. Jalen Hurts should be considered the type of quarterback who rises above his circumstances. He can do that, and if he gets back to being Jalen Hurts, everything else flows from there.
Preach, Kevin Clark. John, we don't hear that perspective nearly enough. It's something you've said. It's something I've said. We have heard it from people in this city. It is not something you hear often enough. I love hearing that on ESPN. Someone actually standing up there and saying,
God.
Look what this guy's done.
Hopefully that will proliferate instead of the bogus trash that really has been the speaking points, the main speaking points on Jalen. And I think it is a travesty. I think it's such a shame. And it's just, he must be asking himself, the Eagles organization, his teammates, they must be all wondering what else does a guy have to do to get any amount of credit here. I feel like he can be a sympathetic figure at times because he gets so crushed for things that have nothing to do with his job description. He doesn't create the offense. He runs the offense. He is taught the offense. And unfortunately, he's been taught a new offense every year by, recently guys who probably didn't deserve to be teaching it.
Fangio disagrees with you.
We're going to get to that with Shields.
But
so
I will just say this before
audio.
you get to Shield real quick, because I'm way more critical of Jalen than both you and John are. Mm-hmm. But I have always been offended at literally the day after he was named the Super Bowl MVP. The questions, I think there's an unfairness to the criticism of him. I think I'm reasonable in my criticism of him.
I agree.
I think the passing game is painful at times to watch. But I think the nasty edge to the criticism of Jalen, I take great offense to.
I totally agree. And we've had callers call in, and you've got into it. We definitely, I feel like there is an agenda at times with 100%. Certain people with Jalen Hurts. All right, 215-592-9494.
Well, Fangio said yesterday the offense was the same year after year.
So we're going to get to that audio in a second.
It's a different language. There are different concepts. It's never the same offense. To him, they're running the same stuff. It's inside zone, outside zone. You got power schemes, load schemes in the run game. You're talking about coverages. You're talking about route combinations. That stuff was so basic and simple.
Well,
and
why don't we play that audio? Because I was going to wait till deeper into Shield, but Shield's coming on in a sec. Let's play that audio right now, Lewis, for Shield, and we'll react to it, and John can react so the audience knows what we're talking about. Vic Fangio yesterday was asked about Jalen, how he's looked. He's talking about how he looked now, but an interesting comment at the end about just how new the offense is this year in Vic's mind.
Your view of Jalen Hurts and this new offense, going, your defense versus Jalen Hurts. What's your view of Jalen Hurts?
Yeah, I think Jalen's having a good camp. I I think he looks faster. You know, we can't touch him during practice, and so there's always that debate whether you had him or not. And I think there's been a few times where our guys think they had him and they really didn't. I think he's moving good, and I think he's doing a nice job with the new offense. A lot's been made about him, all these coordinators he's been with, but it's basically been the same offense every year. This is different, and I think he's done a great job with it.
John, a lot of people obviously caught that. I was surprised there was not a follow-up question on that, but yeah. So
he's talking about the RPO stuff, the concepts that they were using. It was a different offense in a different language every year, slightly, I'm sure. If they were keeping it in-house, I can see how he would, like I said, how he would perceive it as similar. You got the same concepts no matter where you go in the NFL. That the RPO stuff, that was, a good portion of it. And so I think Vic is simplifying it by saying, hey, that's the majority of what it was based in. It's just what he didn't mention is it was just pathetically overly simple and not NFL worthy. The passing
I'm surprised
part of
he
it.
Didn't say that in his.
Yeah, he was. I'm sure that it wasn't preparing his guys the way they needed to be prepared. So they're running cards in practice that are more complex than the passing game our team's running on Sundays.